Right now, somewhere in the world, a grown adult is standing in front of a bathroom mirror, holding a small tube of paint, carefully drawing two stripes across their cheeks in the colors of a team they have never met. They will do this for free. They will do this in public. They will do this even if it rains, even if their team loses, even if strangers laugh at them on the train home. You have probably done some version of this yourself. A scarf, a flag wrapped around your shoulders like a cape you didn't earn, a face sticker pressed on with a thumb in a parking lot before kickoff. The easy answer is that it's fun, it's tradition, it's team spirit. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain did not evolve to watch football. It evolved on an open landscape, in small bands of maybe 50 people, where survival depended on knowing exactly one thing in an instant. Is this person one of us or one of them? Face paint is not a costume. It is a signal, and that signal is older than language itself. Think about what paint actually does to a face. It removes the soft, readable parts, the blush, the subtle muscle twitches, the things that make a face look like an individual, and replaces them with bold, symmetrical, exaggerated marks. It turns a person into a symbol. That's not an accident. That's the entire function. Long before stadiums existed, humans were already doing this. Roman writers described the Picts of ancient Britain painting or tattooing their bodies in blue woad before battle, a sight so unfamiliar to Roman soldiers that some accounts treat it as proof the Picts were barely human at all, which is itself revealing. The paint wasn't just frightening. It was dehumanizing, on purpose, because a symbol is easier to fight than a person. Across the Pacific, Maori warriors wore facial markings called moko, each pattern specific to lineage and status, visible from a distance, unmistakable up close, almost like a uniform carved directly into skin instead of stitched onto fabric. In parts of sub-Saharan Africa, warrior age sets used white ash and red ochre in patterns tied to rank and rite of passage, marking exactly who had been initiated into the group and who had not. None of these cultures had contact with each other. None of them had football or anything resembling it, and yet the same basic move kept appearing independently again and again. Take a face. Strip away what makes it personal. Replace it with a shared, exaggerated symbol. In the Amazon, anthropologist Napoleon Chagnon spent years living among the Yanomami people, documenting something that looks, on the surface, completely unrelated to a football match. Before raids and ritual confrontations, Yanomami warriors painted their bodies in bold red and black patterns. Chagnon noted that the paint wasn't random decoration. It marked a transition. A man wearing paint was no longer just a man. He was now a representative of his group, prepared to act not as an individual, but as a unit in a larger coalition. Sit with that for a second. The paint wasn't only for intimidating an enemy. It was for the wearer. It changed how he understood his own role in what was about to happen. Now look at a football stadium. Same mechanism. Wildly different stakes. When you paint your face in your team's colors, you are not just showing support. You are temporarily dissolving your individual identity into a group identity. Psychologists call this de-individuation, a concept studied since the 1950s, and here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. De-individuation doesn't just change how others see you. It changes how you behave. People in face paint, masks, or matching uniforms report feeling less personally responsible for their own actions, more willing to take risks, and more emotionally fused with the group around them. Early research on this effect even found that anonymity alone, with no paint or costume involved, was enough to shift behavior toward whatever the group around a person seemed to be doing, for better or worse. Add a visible, shared marking on top of that anonymity, and the pull toward the group only gets stronger. You are not pretending to be part of a tribe for an afternoon. For 90 minutes, some part of your brain actually believes it. Here's where it gets stranger. In 2005, researchers Russell Hill and Robert Barton published a study in the journal Nature, looking at combat sports at the Olympic Games, comparing athletes who were randomly assigned red versus blue uniforms. Across boxing, taekwondo, and wrestling, the athletes wearing red won significantly more often, even when both competitors were closely matched in skill. Why would the color of a piece of fabric change the outcome of a physical contest? The explanation reaches back millions of years before football, before the Olympics, before humans existed at all. Across much of the animal kingdom, red coloring is tied to testosterone, dominance, and aggression. A flushed face under stress reddens. A primate displaying dominance often shows reddened skin around the face. Your brain carries an ancient, pre-verbal circuit that reads red as a threat signal. And that circuit doesn't fully switch off just because the red happens to be printed on a jersey instead of flushed across actual skin. So when fans wear their team's red and paint their own faces to match it, they are not engaging in simple decoration. They are unconsciously activating one of the oldest dominant signals your species has ever produced. Now ask the harder question. Why would your brain bother doing any of this for a sport? Something with no real survival stakes attached to it at all. This is where anthropologist Robin Dunbar's research on social bonding becomes useful. Dunbar spent decades studying how humans maintain group cohesion, and one of his central findings is that humans are wired to seek coalition constantly, almost compulsively, because for most of human history, being part of a strong, reliable group was the single biggest predictor of whether you survived long enough to have children. A lone human on an open landscape was vulnerable. A human embedded inside a tightly bonded group was fed, protected, and defended. Football didn't create this wiring. Football simply found it lying there, mostly unused after thousands of years of comparatively settled agricultural life, and gave it somewhere new to go. Think about everything a single football match actually offers this much older part of your brain. A clearly defined in-group and out-group. Synchronized chanting, which research on group ritual has shown can elevate oxytocin and increase feelings of trust toward total strangers standing right next to you. There's something almost unsettling about how well chanting works on you. Thousands of unrelated people who would never trust each other on a quiet street suddenly move their bodies in time, raise their voices on the same beat, and feel for a few seconds like a single organism instead of a crowd. Anthropologists studying ritual behavior across cultures keep finding the same pattern. Synchronized movement and sound reliably dissolve the felt boundary between self and group, faster and more reliably than almost anything else humans do together. Add shared color, add shared symbols, add shared ritual, repeated on a schedule, week after week, season after season. Then add a contest with a clear winner and a clear loser, decided through physical skill and contact, which is about the closest modern substitute available for the territorial contests that once decided which group held the better hunting ground or water source. You are not simply watching a game. You are running a survival simulation that is thousands of years out of date, and your nervous system does not know the difference between a Saturday afternoon broadcast and an ancient border dispute between rival bands. This is part of why losing actually hurts, and not in some vague, metaphorical way. Studies on sports fans have recorded measurable spikes in cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, after a loss, alongside measurable testosterone increases after a win, sometimes within minutes of the final whistle. That pattern closely mirrors the hormonal shifts recorded during real intergroup conflict and dominance contests across multiple primate species, where winners of a confrontation show rising testosterone and losers show rising cortisol, regardless of whether either side threw a single punch. Your body's not performing disappointment for show, the way an actor might perform sadness on command. It is reacting as though your coalition has genuinely lost ground to a rival, because as far as the oldest parts of your nervous system are concerned, it has. This is also why fans sometimes describe a bad loss as feeling almost physically heavy, or why a big win can produce a kind of giddy, slightly irrational confidence that has nothing to do with anything that actually happened in your own life that day. None of that is irrational once you see what's really running underneath it. And the face paint is never separate from any of this. It's the first domino. It's the exact moment you opt in. The second those two stripes go onto your cheeks, you stop being only an individual spectator. You become a unit, a coalition member, a small temporary tribe of one, merging into a much larger tribe of thousands, all wearing the same colors, all primed by the same ancient circuitry to feel whatever happens on that field as something that is happening to all of them at once. There's a reason this almost never happens with quiet, low-stakes hobbies. You don't see people painting their faces for a chess tournament or wrapping a flag around their shoulders for a spelling bee. Those activities don't trigger coalition psychology because there's no rival tribe to define yourself against, no shared threat to bond over, no physical contest mimicking the oldest disputes your species ever had. Football offers all three at once, on a schedule, with a built-in enemy and a built-in victory condition. Almost nothing else in modern life recreates that ancient package so completely. So the next time you see a grown adult, fully painted, screaming at a television screen over a result that will not affect their job, their health, or their family by Monday morning, look a little closer at what you're actually witnessing. You are not looking at someone who has lost perspective over a game. You are looking at one of the oldest pieces of human behavioral software still running, almost perfectly preserved, just wearing a new jersey. That adult standing in front of the bathroom mirror, carefully drawing two stripes across their cheeks for a team they have never personally met, isn't doing something silly. They're doing something nearly as old as humanity itself.